Of women.
Just try to imagine the scene. The doctors tell you your child is handicapped, incurable, condemned to a wheelchair for life. Now, what parent in that position wouldn't grasp at any straw to give their son or daughter a fighting chance? That's why hundreds of families, including Australians, have cashed in their savings and set out for a place called the Petter Institute in Hungary. They come to the Petter Institute from all over the world. Children seeking a better life, an active life. These 10 families have flown to Budapest from Northern Ireland, praying their children can be treated. A gamble costing thousands of pounds.
Money can't buy what I need for her health and her ability maybe to walk and talk. It means more than all the money in the world.
It is very good, very fat.
It's 10 tense minutes for Dolores Ham.
With you, please.
And the performance of her daughter's life.
And we were walking. Please. No?
2-year-old Stephanie is being tested. If she's accepted, she'll start learning how to walk.
Yeah?
If she fails, it's back to Derry City and life in a wheelchair.
It means a new future for her. It means that she won't always be standing watching out a window, looking at the world, that she'll be out there in the world participating.
The verdict? There is a chance.
She seems to be a good candidate for conductive education, really. But we can't tell at the moment if we have a suitable place for her.
Even that is enough. Are you surprised?
Very surprised, very relieved, ecstatic.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
Do you feel proud of her?
Very, yeah.
When the students at the Petter Institute get together, they look for all the world like one great gathering of lost causes. Most suffer from cerebral palsy, some from spina bifida. But for the teachers who work here, they're all just kids with walking problems. They arrived crawling, carried, or in wheelchairs. Conductive education's the best chance they have to stand on their own 2 feet.
As soon as I walked in, the first day that I walked in, I thought, yes, this is what I've been looking for.
Pauline Chinner searched for years for some way, somewhere to help her son, Nicholas. In Australia, doctors offered reassurance and said he'd come to terms with his disability. Pauline wanted him to conquer it. She and Nicholas set out from Fremantle 2 years ago. Budapest is the end of the road.
In September '86, they said to me, he will not walk now, he needs a wheelchair.
Why didn't you believe them?
Stubbornness, I think. I felt that if you could get a man to the moon, then you could get a child to walk.
Nicholas was 4 when he arrived at the Institute. He couldn't sit up. He couldn't grip with his hands. When he was propped up, his legs buckled. His mother was still fighting, but Nicholas had given up.
I remember he was becoming quite withdrawn before he came, and I was getting quite concerned about it. And I remember seeing some boys playing cricket and pointed to them and saying, maybe you can do that one day. And he said, no, I won't. I'll be like that one over there, and pointed to the one sat on the ground. And within a couple of months of being here, he was saying, I can do this. I never used to be able to do this.
When David Jarm left Melbourne with his daughter Sarah, it was truly a leap into the unknown. He knew nothing about Hungary, he knew no one in Budapest, but he thought it was worth a try for a year or so. Three and a half years later, Sarah is still here. Conductive education doesn't work overnight. Even getting out of bed each morning is a major exercise. But it's part of the PETA learning process. Every child must perform every chore themselves.
To us, it's the best place in the world for her, and the only place that we could see that she's been able to develop the way she has. If she was not at the Institute, I'm not sure what she would be doing. If it all came to an end tomorrow, I don't know what we would do.
Budapest is behind what some still call the Iron Curtain. But history has shown the Hungarians treasure their independence and a sort of free, even revolutionary thinking, the kind that came up with conductive education. Conductive education started here 40 years ago. Its methods and principles have scarcely changed since. And though it's hard to describe what it actually is, it is not a miracle cure. The basic idea is that even severely handicapped children can learn to do the normal, everyday things that other children do naturally. They just have to be taught how. So it's an educational, not a medical problem. It's a simple enough theory, but extraordinarily difficult to put into practice. Everything for these children is a challenge, since everything must be learned from scratch. Even how to blow a puffball across a desk. It may seem cruel, even perverse, this constant pushing, constant stimulation. But the message gets across. Anything is possible. There is no such thing as a hopeless case.
The children are much more intelligent than adults.
The Institute's director, Dr. Maria Hari. Do you have more children from overseas, outside Hungary, coming to you for help than you have space for them?
Yes.
Do you find it very difficult to refuse people?
It is awful to refuse. We never dare to say no.
So if someone brings you a child, that'll soften your heart. Is that true?
Not always, but
Nearly
many
always.
times.
Joe Horsley's one of those children Dr. Hari couldn't refuse, though just about everyone else had. British doctors told Mike and Lisa Horsley to forget him. Joe wasn't worth the effort.
One guy did actually say that, go and have a normal kid. Just don't lose out on the joys of parenthood, you know, because I think that remains etched in my memory as one of the classics, almost like a litany that comes out. You're suffering from, or you're mourning for the normal child that you never had. Your child will never walk. Accept it. Don't go running around because that's something that you will never happen. The number of times that has been said to every parent here, and the interesting thing is that some of those kids are now walking.
Alone, with sticks, or with a guiding hand. It's taken years, but they're up and out there, just like their teachers always promised.
They're not sort of handicapped children anymore. They're just kids. They're all just kids, ordinary kids.
There's Stefan, virtually abandoned by his parents when they discovered he was crippled. 5-year-old Lappens, who could only crawl when he arrived in January. Now, the pride of the class. And Balazs, a spastic paralysed down his right side. Now he's in 3rd grade at a regular school. Do you play sport at school?
Sportolsz valamit, Balázs, itt az iskolában?
Itt? De nem mindig, csak néha.
Sometimes he plays football.
What do you want to be when you grow up, when you get older?
Nem kell annyi tudomány. Kertész.
You want to be a gardener?
An institute for crippled kids can be a tragic place, full of twisted bodies and broken spirits. But the Petter is full of stories of triumph. Another boy doomed to a wheelchair. And just look at him. No one will ever know what this means to Nicholas Chinner. After 2 years to step out alone, unaided.
Look at all the disadvantages of being away from his home, away from his friends, especially away from his father, his dog, and yet he's still come on. Now, if he could have had that from when he was first diagnosed in his own country, his own home, I think that he could have been wonderful by now. I think he could have been playing cricket by now.
We expect probably a lot more of Sarah than she's capable of doing.
3/4 of the children now at the Institute will leave on their feet. Sarah Jam may or may not be one of them. Her injuries are severe, walking is still a long way off. But in her own way, she's what the Institute is all about. She's doing the very best she can.
She has a lot of determination to try to achieve things, and she tries extremely hard. It's just her own body doesn't give her those abilities to achieve those things that we'd like.
There are no miracles in Budapest. They don't even talk about a cure. But for the children who come here, every faltering step is a personal victory. Every step counts.
I just think of Nicholas as being an ordinary little boy who had some trouble with his legs.
What will Nick be like in 12 years' time when he's 18?
I don't expect him to play cricket for Australia. I know that's not a possibility, but I would hope that he sort of could go out and do whatever he wants to do, that he could lead a quite normal and fulfilling life. But I would not accept not having a go, not having a very good go to achieve that.